Senator John Flanagan, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Firstly, I'd like to talk about just what your top priority is in terms of education legislation as this legislative session winds down.
I would say one thing that just happened recently that the Board of Regents and NICET deserve credit for. EdTPA, it has to do with teacher certification and the timing of it and the quality and content. And there was a negotiated compromise, which is always a good sign because it's a compromise. And that's something that we were potentially going to look at legislatively, had discussions about it in the budget. Believe that's been resolved. To me, there are two primary issues between now and the end of the session. Number one are 853 special act schools, 4201s and 4410s. Those are four different kinds of schools that are all important across the state of New York, but 853s and special acts, we're looking to get them more money. There are timing issues, there are content issues, working with DOB and SED. I think things are going pretty well. These are schools that definitely need help, as do our 4410 schools, which are our preschools, and that's going to be a critical issue. And that's something that the average person doesn't particularly know that well or understand, but it is, these are kids who have unique challenges. These are kids who sometimes are one step between incarceration and, being out in a school setting, and it's very important that we do what we can to help them. And then, of course, teacher evaluations. What's going on with that? Further issues involving and surrounding Common Core, and that is a critical component of that. We did some very good things in the budget, but that part has been left unresolved.
Sure. Is there any type of legislation that you're discussing right now or is already on the table to address either of those issues?
Yeah, there's clearly discussions going on. In fact, I just came from a long meeting with NICET discussing these things. Need to have some outreach with SED and with the governor's office. And look, there's been a lot of comments, there's been hearings all over the state. This is a critical issue to so many different people. And the reason to me it's so important, and I'm no different than a lot of people, is ultimately this is about what are we doing for students? And I don't care about the college and career ready language, but how are we making outcomes better for students? And in order to do that, you need great teachers. And we should be looking at this, how do we mold, how do we create, how do we retain experts, people who are going to dedicate their lives and their passion to making young boys and girls smarter and better prepared for the real world. So yes, discussions in earnest I think are starting now. Legislation, the Assembly had passed something on this a little while ago. I'm not sure that you're going to see anything in print right away, but I believe that there will be a full-blown discussion on this. The governor made some pretty significant comments which were a lot different than what he was saying 4 or 6 months ago, kind of opening the door for, I think, legitimate negotiations on this subject in particular. But it is an issue of paramount concern.
Okay. Even if it isn't legislation, is there something that you think the legislature needs to do to address the concerns of parents, students, and educators concerning, the top education issues, the top one obviously being Common Core right now?
Yeah, we clearly have gotten involved in this. There were a number of good things that were done in the budget on Common Core. There's privacy issues that were clearly addressed, parental bill of rights, chief privacy officer, things like that. I think we need, I left out something important. We need to do more in professional development. And I think the actions we took in the budget are a reflection of listening to parents and students. Educators to a degree, but making sure that things are not held against children and, setting benchmarks that had not previously existed. So there are continued concerns of parents and educators perhaps even more so that they're not adversely affected by a system that is not fully and properly implemented yet. I have ongoing concerns about the continued rollout of Common Core. Here you have math exams, just occurred, and justifiably so, people are saying, what the heck is going on, because there were problems. You would think if there were one time where you would never want to have a problem, it's after everything that's gone on. So there are legitimate issues, and I think there are continued challenges in that area. For me personally, I'm still not at a level of comfort that I think I need to be, not only as a legislator, but as chair of the committee, in terms of the effective implementation of Common Core. There's been a lot of discussion, and the noise has died down a little bit, but has the potential to ratchet up again very quickly.
Sure. And these discussions, I'm sure, could take you well more than 2 months, could take you months on end to the next.
Yes.
So what represents a positive step forward for you at the end of this session? What you can go home at the end of session and say, the job isn't complete here, This is going to take a while, but we have made progress. We have made positive steps forward.
Clearly, the most overarching thing was the money that we put in the budget. That was great, over closer to $1.2 billion than 1.1, $602 million in GEA restoration. Absolutely essential to districts. I think that's going to help be a great catalyst for budgets passing on time, of course. And I want to be able to walk away on those special schools that I talked about, showing that we've done something there, coming up with some short and long-term solutions. The Common Core things that we've done have been good. There's no question that we have to do something involving teachers and what's been going on there, but I think your premise is probably the most apt, because no matter what we do, something's going to shift and we'll have to adapt. I want people, students, parents, and educators, administrators, and our taxpayers to feel like we may not be there, but we're getting there a lot better than we were before and in a lot more efficient capacity.
Senator Flanagan, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, my pleasure.